What the fuck? Nkosikelele, man.
Oh yeah, dude, that wasn't my idea. There's a follower that I have in
Yeah.
Manchester who's from the Western Cape, and she had her husband who's English do it, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna have my wife, who's very much an American, do it because, well, why the heck not? I
Yeah.
mean, she felt
I
embarrassed.
just I just find it funny that she found the African names easier than the Afrikaans names.
Dude, isn't that yeah, that was kind of the trip for me too, because it was like for me it's the exact opposite. Like she and I and people were cool about it in the comment section too. They were
Yeah.
like, "Dude, look, we get it." Like even South Africans were like, "Look, I butcher this part every single time."
Yeah.
Like and she's like, "And I've been reading it for 30 years and I still butcher it." So, um
No, look, man. I think the difference is that I, I guess us as South Africans, we're very proud as a nation. So we find it quite endearing when other countries' people try, sing our anthem or even read our anthem or whatever the case might be, because we are so proud of it in ourselves, right? That we're not one of those people that like, oh, I'm going to be making fun of you. Look at you, you loser, whatever, right? It's not. That's not the way we do things, right? We actually encourage. We want to encourage you, and when we teach you or tell you like this is what you did wrong, it's not to try and make you feel minute or whatever. It's actually to really teach you, because we want you to get it right, and because we're proud of the fact that somebody else is trying it. You know what I mean? So yeah, I thought it was quite cool that she
Yeah,
did it. So
all the South Africans, nobody was like negative about it, and a lot of them were
yeah,
like, "Dude, that's cool of your wife to do that." Like, not a
yeah,
lot of wives would get up and do something like that, knowing that they're gonna do terribly. And it was like for her, like we
yeah,
had tried to do a video last year, um, where she was reading off player names,
yeah.
and unfortunately, our dog jumped up and licked the microphone, and it turned it off, so it didn't even record. We're gonna do that again sometime soon, just because once again, it's one of those things where if you don't know, you just don't know. And I mean,
No, no, for sure.
I butcher names all the time, especially for like Ireland. I've done it bad. France, I've done
Yeah,
it bad. New Zealand, I do it bad. Not as much with New Zealand and Australia, just because they're neighbors. But it's
yeah.
but yeah, we're gonna go ahead and get into it, man. I've got some subjects and talks that I wanted to get with you on because they're your opinion is very much valid in my opinion. So we're gonna go ahead and I'm gonna pull up these images kind of one by one here, and we're gonna start off with one that's not super controversial, but I just want to get your opinion on it because I've been very vocal about mine, and
Yeah, sure.
that is Joe Marler, end of an era. Um,
So, so my brother, he actually, I was on the phone with him yesterday,
mhm.
and he's like, "Did you see Joe Marler quit?" I was like, "Yeah," and he's like, "No, he really liked him, and he was such a cool guy." I'm like, "He's a prick. I don't give a fuck."
Like the end of his whole thing, like, look, it kind of started with the Johnny Sexton and Rico Awani thing, and I guess he wanted to try and see if he could get some of that heat.
Yeah,
And he made a terrible comment, like,
yeah,
look, I a lot of people will complain about the haka. I've noticed it's very few South Africans that ever complain about it.
yeah,
Because I think because it's a special relationship and that's part of their rugby, and we respect that. Just like they complain about our national anthem being like 7.5 minutes long. It's like, but he made the comment and got offended a lot of people off, especially with what's going on, honestly, right now in New Zealand with their politics. And
yeah,
then went into his little safe space and then came out and said he was retiring. I actually got blocked by him on all
yeah. I
social
remember.
media because I called him a punk bitch. Like, dude, don't go out like that. Like, if he hadn't have gone out like that, I think maybe I'd have a little bit more positivity. But I'm like, good riddance.
Yeah,
Good riddance, honestly. So you agree? Good riddance to Joe Mar.
I'm like, whatever, mate. It's like, You weren't even really ever a competition for our scrums, mate. So
Yeah,
let's
that's
be quite frank. So
100% big facts here. The next one I'm going to pull up, and this is going to probably be hopefully a decent source of banter here. Oh, come on, man.
is it Steve Anson?
No,
No.
no, this is the win rate through the first 14 games for All Blacks coaches, and if you look
Yeah.
at just at the very bottom of the list, and
Yeah.
like I, I
71%, mate.
I keep trying to figure out like how Kiwi like the mental gymnastics,
Yeah.
they have the bar set really high, then they drop it really low, and now they've just thrown the bar out of the room. Like they're still in total belief that like, oh yeah, this guy's gonna get us back to the top. And I'm like, dude, he is the worst start in coaching history for your team.
Yeah. No, look, I mean, I think there's something to be said for that because, one, the Irish team is better than they've ever been,
Yeah,
right? We currently on like a fucking hot streak ourselves,
yeah, definitely.
probably being the best in what we've ever been. So I'd say the competition definitely has stiffened up a little bit. I think if we take it out, like just take it out from current standings and we put in Steve Hansen there, I think it's have the same result. Um, Purely because of number one, South Africa is at an all-time high. Ireland is fucking pumping. France is fucking pumping at the moment.
Yeah,
Okay, so everybody's like like in the top 5 teams. Like
they could
it
all
can
beat
really go anywhere.
each other. Yeah,
Yeah, they can all beat each other like anywhere. So that being said, I don't know if it's necessarily only Robertson that's the problem. I think there's a couple of problems. Number one being uh, overseas players not being selected. I think that's a massive problem for them. Um,
but I think
but
honestly, when we say that overseas players, I mean, like, what do we talk? Like Richie Mo'unga is obviously better than Damian McKenzie. There's no question about that.
100%.
But I mean, Aaron Smith is old. He's not going to make that big of a difference. Brody Retallick is half broken. Like he's not going to make a difference.
But
I think
also bearing in mind that a fly off can make or break a team.
this is very true. This is
Okay,
100. Yeah, we know this
they
from
can make all the fucking
yeah,
difference in your team. So I mean, it's the way the attack lines up. I mean, we've seen how different we play with people like Marnie Lebok versus Andre Pollard.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah, yeah.
how different the game plan do we play? Like it's like fucking worlds apart almost. Okay, one is more structured defensive structure, running the ball up, kicking like very uh, competitive balls. That we can actually counter stuff like that. Whereas with Marnie, it's like you never know where the fuck he's going to go, right? Because he's a very much of an attacking fly half. So I'd say that does make quite a major difference. I believe Damian McKenzie, I don't think is the number 10, mate. I don't think he's really up to the par
At
where
club level,
some of the other guys are. Oh,
at club level, he's absolutely amazing. But yeah, I think at test level, I think Damian McKenzie continues to just underperform to this day.
and I mean, there's for me also there's been a very long time where players were also played out of position. Um, like for instance, the Barrett brother, okay, Scott,
Yeah,
Scott. Eh?
he's
I
a
mean,
flanker. He's not a
he's a
lock.
flanker.
Yeah,
He's
he's
not a
not a
fucking lock,
lock.
right?
Yeah,
So I mean, he's been played there. Like for instance, Adi Surveyor being played at 8 man. Okay,
he's a flanker.
that guy is a much better fucking flanker than
Much
an
better.
8 man.
Yeah, I
And you
agree.
can see the difference with him now playing at flank, where Wallace Atiti's like maybe standing in at number 8. Like
Dude,
that's a different ball game altogether.
that guy has impressed the ever loving fuck out. Wallace Atiti is good. Like he's really good. Like
Yeah,
I
100%. And he's 22 years old, mate. He's
yeah. So
fucking amazing.
they've got an 8 for a while, obviously with him.
Yeah.
We're gonna move on to the next one. Also, kind of sticking with the All Blacks, but not the big one you're waiting for here. Um, So another guy, and I'm not going to put up both players, but obviously Sam Kane finally done. I kind of felt like he should have been done
It should have
in
been done years ago, mate. Like probably like the World Cup, I think should have been his fucking last game.
that
And to
that
be
should have
quite
been.
frank, I don't even think he should have made it there. To be honest,
Yeah, he
um,
compared to Kieran Reid, absolutely nothing. This guy was
yeah,
terrible compared to the likes of Kieran Reid or Richie McCaw.
yeah.
Uh,
But that's just to add on to that previous slide that you put on, right? Is that you get generational players, right?
mhm.
Players that really fucking change the game, players that really make an impact when they're on the field, right? And then that's guys like the Retallics and the Kieran Reeds and those Oaks. Those Oaks make differences, right?
Sam Kane was never one of those
He
guys.
was never one of them. Okay,
Yeah,
and Steve Hansen was fortunate enough to also be coaching in an era, okay, where he actually coached some fucking good players, mate.
amazing.
Nonu, all
Yeah,
those guys, they were like fucking amazing, bro. Like if you had a look at them, it's just like you knew you were stepping onto the field with greatness.
yeah. The
Okay.
2011 to 2015 All Blacks are still, and I think in a lot of books, the
Yeah.
greatest team to ever play. Like there was so much talent on it, and I think it says a
100%.
lot because you'll hear South Africans saying that a lot.
Yeah.
They're like, "Oh yeah, that was the best team ever on the planet, man. Like there was no
Yeah.
other team."
But this is the thing. So I mean, it's easy to make comments about Robertson, but also, I mean, what talent does he have at his disposal at
He
the
doesn't
moment?
have what Hansen had, definitely.
He doesn't have it. I
Yeah.
mean, the guys are just not there. Okay, unfortunately, they've got players that's coming up like Wallace Titi. Sure, that guy is going to
Who
make
could
a
be?
fucking difference for years coming,
He
right?
could be a generational talent. We just don't know yet.
100%. But I mean, the guys like Damien McKenzie, definitely not.
Yeah.
Sam Kane, fuck not. Scott Rob,
Scott
Scott
Barrett.
Barrett, definitely not.
Yeah.
Okay, to
Yeah.
me, they're not generational players. They're not. They're not that. Like for me, Adi Surveyor, yeah, he's one of those players, right? He's an amazing player. I just think he's not a captain. Number one, I don't think he should ever play captain,
No, no,
and
definitely no.
I almost see him as Iabun not being captain. Okay,
Yeah.
because it's like now I have to check what I'm doing. I need to be like I need to be like the guy that like
He
follows
needs to
the
be able to
rules.
throw
And
caution into the wind. He need,
100, you need those players to
yeah.
really play hard. Okay,
Yeah.
you can't make them captain, mate. Like it's wrong. So yeah, look, I
Yeah.
mean Sam Kane, as you mentioned, look, he was great for the New Zealand team, I guess, for many a time. He played for many years, but also he should have been finished like for more than a year already, as it is. So, he held on as long as he can. I think it's about time to hang it up, mate.
I agree. Yes. So we're gonna move on. We're gonna kind of stay. This first part of it is gonna be mostly All Blacks. We got two more to go through with this one, and then
Yeah.
we'll be done with that part of it. But this is from a definite generational talent out of South Africa. Habanananana.
Yeah.
Basically saying that South Africa leaving Super Rugby has been abysmal for Super Rugby, and I can't disagree at all. Like,
Look, man, we've discussed this 100 times
give me,
before.
give me just a second, mate.
All good.
Oh, they're gonna be able to hear everything on microphone, anyways. We have a special guest joining the.
Hello there, we.
But yeah, as you were saying,
Yeah.
it's painfully obvious that
We've discussed this 100 times before, where we
it's
said this.
it's
It is what it is, mate. Like you have to be able to look at the facts, and you have to be able to look at the blaring obvious in the room. Like you could see Australian rugby has died. Okay, like fucking badly, right? So I mean, I think they're the worst they've been in so many years, if
Ever,
not ever.
ever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. And secondly, even New Zealand, okay, still being competitive, but they're not the world conquering team that they used to be.
Yeah.
There's so many teams that break them down. I mean, out of 5 games, I think we beat them 4 times in the last 5.
Yeah, we're on a
Um,
4-game win streak for the first
yeah,
time since like 1949, I think.
yeah,
It's like, yeah,
which is unheard of. Okay, Ireland. I mean, in the last 5 games, probably beat them at least 2 times, if not 3 times. Okay, and that being said, they never lost to Ireland. Okay, prior to that. Okay, so I mean, they're not that old world conquering team anymore, and that just goes to show like what is it? What's the reasoning behind it? I think number one, you don't have as competitive competitions anymore.
it definitely.
Okay,
Yeah.
because let's be honest, the better your competition, the better you play, right? Um, it's because you rise to the occasion. Okay, like look at us. Okay, just perfect example. Look at us in between World Cups usually, right? We are fucking atrocious. Okay, like
Yeah. Yeah.
50, 60% win percentage, something
Yeah.
around there. Okay, not this year, fortunately. Fuck, thank God.
I think this has been
Okay,
our
but
best
before,
after World Cup year ever in
yeah.
history. So, yeah.
But if you have a look at how it used to be, okay, so that's the one side of it. Okay, so then you get into the World Cup and you're facing all these teams, and we rise to the occasion. Everybody wrote us off against England in the final 2019. Yeah. Okay. We ourselves, I don't know if we were too sure if we were going to beat Wales because we had a fucking atrocious record against Wales
At that
the
point.
years leading up to it.
Yeah. At that
Okay.
point. Yeah.
Because we play such similar rugby styles. Okay. So we never we were hopeful, but we didn't know. Like, look, we're gonna make it to the final. We're gonna fuck up England. We didn't know. Okay. When England beat the fucking brakes off New Zealand, okay, which they did, to be honest, that game should have been a higher scoring game the way they fucking played that game, right? The English. Okay. They really like put the hurting on New Zealand in that game. They're like it was you could see the momentum who it was with, right? And so that being said, I mean, we nobody gave us a chance. England was clear favourites in that final, and we managed to rise to the occasion, and we really hurt them. Right?
We beat the
I
shit
think
out
we
of
after that 5, we were on our own try line. I think like 5 or 6 minutes long, like
Yeah.
fuck long, right? And they just couldn't break our defense. And I think that's what broke their spirits because they threw everything at us, the fucking kitchen sink, everything, and they
And couldn't get
couldn't break our
across.
wall.
Yeah.
So I
So,
think that's
yeah.
where they first went there. So, but anyways, Habana, I think you're speaking absolute facts there. We've discussed it previously. We know.
We agree, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, now here's the big one you've been waiting for. This one has been blowing up on my TikTok. Former All Blacks coach Steve Hansen claiming that they were robbed of the World Cup, as far as I'm concerned, with some poor decisions that were out of their control that cost them the World Cup. Now, my first response to this is Jordy Barrett and Richie Moonga
Missing kicks.
missing kicks, and that was out of your control. You didn't.
Or Sam Kane doing a tackle so fucking high after being the captain for the team and already knowing that he's been penalized for this before,
Yeah,
right? So
yeah.
you should have learned from your fucking mistakes, right?
And
So
if it hadn't been Sam Kane, it would have been Scott Barrett. It would have been somebody.
yeah,
This
would
was
have
a
been
team,
someone.
honestly, arguably, that didn't deserve to make it to the final, in my
Yeah.
opinion. Um, and like, look, it's sad because I respect Steve Hansen a lot. I thought he was a great coach, but man, he is really turning into like a Clive Woodward real quick.
Yeah.
Like, you
Look,
didn't
man.
get robbed. You got beat by a better team. You got beat because Andre Pollard does not miss. That that
Yeah.
that man, like he misses kicks in test games all the time. But go find the games that really matter. That man does not miss.
You know what? Andre Pollard sold me on him recently, on himself.
Oh, what
Okay.
did he say? What did he say?
No, no. Yeah, I was always like on the fence about him. I don't know what it is. Okay, it just as a person though, right? It was never like about his ability on the field. We know what he can do. He is Mr. Cool. He doesn't overthink things. He does his fucking thing and he does it well, right? So, I mean, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about as a person. Like, I always thought he seemed to be this dull guy, right? So it's just maybe because he's always serious on the field. I don't know. I don't know what it is. Okay,
Yeah, yeah.
but this weekend, well, not the weekend. Last week, I watched him. He was on that podcast with Cole, Dan Cole, and
Yeah, yeah,
who's
yeah.
that? Who's
I know
that
who you're
fly half?
I know who you're talking about. We
Scrum
talked
half.
yeah.
The
Uh,
scrum half that tried to take on Eben and then got
yeah.
checked. Anyways, so he was on the show with them, and he's actually quite a cool guy. They were like funny and they were like outgoing, and I got to be honest, I completely changed my mind about Pollard. Right, so I never saw him in that light, so I was just happy that I could be like, okay, he's a rad dude. I can deal with him.
There was a
I'd
little
have a I'd
yeah.
have a braai with him, type thing.
Yeah.
Like
Oh, yeah.
before that, I would have
Yeah.
been like, no,
Yeah.
I won't have a braai with
He's
him.
too
I'd rather
serious.
have a braai with this
He's
oak.
too
Yeah,
They did a thing where they were asking him about players, and he would just describe each player with like one word or a few words. And um, what was like I think it was like Eben. He said like beast. With Manny, surprisingly, he was like X Factor. Cheslin Colby, he was like footwork, just like everybody.
yeah,
And then like I think the funniest one was when he got to Arhisnemen. I thought he was gonna say like tall, but he called him an animal. Said he is an animal.
yeah,
Or was it Eben? Anyways, like just the way he described his teammates, like
yeah.
you just realize, and then when they asked him Andre Pollard, he's like idiot, like he's just like, and then Rassi, and he was like boss,
Yeah.
like, and it was just kind of like it's funny because you'll see this with other players. They'll ask people, "Hey, talk about Rassi," like talk
Yeah.
about Rassi, and
Yeah.
it's almost as if everybody has this. He's boss, he's coach to everyone, but then there's guys on the team where it's like, yeah, he's like my dad basically, you
Yeah.
know? And like that just shows you what kind of person Rassi is.
Yeah.
Like
Look, man, I'm not on this show, right? Because I want to talk up other shows,
yeah.
right? But I got to be honest, that guy, that fucking scrum half, man.
Hold on, I'm gonna find his
What's
name
his
real
name
quick.
again?
Is it
Like,
Danny?
anyways,
It's not Danny Care, is it? No.
no, I can't remember his name, but they've turned into like decent, um, like pundits, right?
Ben Youngs.
Ben
Ben
Youngs,
Youngs.
yes.
Yeah.
So they've really turned into some decent pundits. They they're not biased, okay? They're not like the average British oak that you would expect, okay?
Yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah.
like I actually enjoy their show, right? I think they're funny as shit. They like the banter they've got. They're funny. Like, and Ben Youngs don't stand back for anyone, not even Cole, not even Dan Cole, right? So, like, I'll give you a perfect example. So Dan Cole comes onto the show, okay, and the previous week they played against us, okay, and Ben Youngs is just like, so when you guys gonna like stop making excuses? So that's the type of answer or questions that he asks, right? It's not. I don't know how to. It's not that he said those exact words, but that's the type of person he is. He doesn't sugarcoat nonsense, right? Like people making up excuses the whole time and stories about why they lost and what. He's like, come on, bro. Like, be honest. Okay. Tell us the fucking truth. What the fuck's going on? Okay. So, and that to me, I actually have a lot of respect for him, eh? I actually have a lot of respect for him being that way because you got to be able to be honest with yourself and look yourself in the eye, which is something that this prick on the screen can't do at the moment, apparently, because
That's yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
using excuses.
Yeah, that's what probably bothers me the most about this whole situation with him
Yeah.
is that that's exactly what we're seeing. We're seeing a guy that's unable to accept what is.
Nice segue there, by the way.
Yeah, it is what it is, and like I
Yeah.
feel like with him, I think he needs to accept that. Hey, this isn't your team anymore. Okay,
Yeah.
and two, you didn't get screwed out of winning the World Cup. Your team didn't they didn't follow through. They didn't go through with what they needed to do to win. They could have won that game, but they just didn't.
Look, bro, if anybody wants to talk about people getting screwed in World Cups, how about us in 2011 against Australia?
Yeah, yeah, that
Let's
was
now
brought
talk
up too.
about getting
That
screwed
was
out of
brought up
fucking World
too.
Cups, mate. So, I mean, look, fucking deal with it, grow up, fucking move on, okay? Like even when we lost, okay, you know, we might have complained about it, but we didn't complain about it a year fucking later. Okay, we complain about it for like 5 minutes, and then we over it, and we like looking forward to the next season. Let's go fuck shit up. But let's be quite frank. He's bringing up the 23 World Cup. Okay, a year later, mate. Okay, when they've had a fucking atrocious year, what are you going to also use that as the same excuse? Oh, we keep getting screwed out of fucking all these games. Okay. You just had a season with a 71% win percentage, okay, being a New Zealander, which is unheard of. Okay. Now, what are you focusing on? Oh, we got screwed out of the World Cup. No, bro. Focus on the fact that you just had a 71% fucking win percentage. That is what you need to focus on. Okay.
I
Obviously, your
agree.
talent's not right. Number two, maybe your coach is not getting the job done. And let's be honest, Scott Robertson could be the right person for the job. We don't know. It might be the talent at his disposal, which is not fucking effective. Okay. Maybe they should be getting the rules in place to say, listen, let us be able to select players from overseas that's based in overseas clubs. Let's be able to pull these guys into our teams. Okay. You go make your money while you can, but when the crunch time comes, come back, right? Like what we can do. Okay. So, I mean, maybe that is what they need. Maybe there's, look, I mean, I don't want to make excuses for them, but there could be many things wrong, and the coach might be the least of it. I don't know.
I think it's a system from the top down. I think
Yeah.
NZ Rugby is in trouble and they just don't want to admit it. But there is something. Oh man, I gotta share this real quick. I don't know if you'll be able to see that. Oh god, they're getting killed right now.
Yep.
God. Anyways, I'm gonna stop sharing. That's all I wanted to check the score on that, and yeah, I'm kind of pissed off about that right now. We'll
The
get into
Sharks are
that.
the only team that actually did well this weekend.
Yeah, we'll get into that here shortly. There's a couple of more things I wanted to go through here that were
Mm.
quite controversial. And the next one was another really big one, and that was the amount of foreign-born players on teams. And it's really funny to me. Like, so, okay. So we always give Ireland shit about it, obviously, because
Yeah.
their best players are Kiwi. Let's just
Yeah.
face facts. I don't really give a shit that Scotland does it, honestly. Like, because none of those guys were good enough to be Springboks, and Tupelotu was at the time not good enough to be a Wallaby. Um,
To be frank, though, I don't know if the foreign-based players are their best players in Ireland. To be honest,
you
I
think?
don't know. I mean, I don't think Lowe is that great.
I think Gibson Park is solid.
No,
Aki,
he is a good player,
yeah,
but he's not like to me like the best player. I think
like
they've got like
Kalen Doris is good. Togburn is good. Those are both
100%. They got some fucking
100%.
good players.
Um, and I think the argument that everybody wants to throw is since they can't do it with us, if they do it with us, they've got to go back for like 50 years and count the five guys that technically, and you have to mention to them that despite being born in Walvis Bay. That was part of South Africa at the time.
Yeah.
Southwest Africa was part of South Africa. It was not an
Yeah.
independent state.
It only
So,
became independent in the 90s.
yeah, Percy Montgomery is South African, like 100%.
Hmm.
Um, and then Beast, obviously, and Beast is very open about like, yes, I'm proud to be
Yeah.
from Zimbabwe, but I moved to South Africa to play rugby, like because the schools had it and everything, and he was like, and it was better.
Yeah.
But it really, like for me, like when people bring up New Zealand, and I think this is something that Europeans and people north of the equator don't understand. If you're escaping poverty and you move to New Zealand, that's not the same as moving as an adult to Europe.
Yeah.
And I don't think
So this
people
is what I
north of
was
the
going to
equator,
say.
they don't
When
get
you
that.
no. When you just said that, so thinking about it this way, right? So the guy literally from his country he could walk across into our country. He didn't have to fly in.
Yeah,
Okay. He could, like, his country is bordering our country. Okay. His country has got no fucking money. Okay. You have to go take a wheelbarrow with the fucking money to buy bread. Okay. That's how fuck all worth their money is. Okay. Because they had a tyrant dictator running their country for like fucking 50 years or however long. Right. So
Robert Mugabe.
yeah. So the fact is, okay, this guy just walked across, okay, to his neighboring country in the same continent, okay, escaping poverty from his current country. So seeking asylum, effectively,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
all right. So that is not the same as you coming from the fucking islands, yeah, at the bottom, flying across the fucking Asia and Europe, okay, to get to like the UK. Okay, that's a fucking different scenario right there. Okay,
100%.
as a grown-up man with funds to his disposal.
And I say that, and the same thing can be said with most of the Kiwi guys that come from Tonga, Fiji, and Samoa.
Yeah,
They're leaving poverty. They're
yeah,
moving to New Zealand, and they're not coming as adults. Their parents are bringing them because there's opportunity that they don't have in the islands.
yeah,
And it's like it's not the same thing as having 100 Super Rugby caps and uprooting and moving to Ireland. That's not that you
yeah.
can't compare the two. They're not the same thing. Um, and this was, like I said, a big source of debate. And then it got even worse into the typical shit that you see from Europeans, which is, well, why are there white people on the South African team? Well, because there's white people from South Africa, asshole. Like,
So that's like asking, how's there white people in the USA?
exactly, because
It's the same fucking thing, same argument.
there shouldn't be technically white people here, but and that's
Dude, we've been here since 1652, man. It's like fucking 400
14,
years.
1492. 1492.
Well, no, for us, 16.
Oh, yours is 16.
Yeah,
Here is
yeah.
14. Yeah.
So what I'm saying is we've been here for 400 years. It's not like we got you yesterday, mate.
It's like we didn't just show up and say, "Hey, give us your gold and shit," like the British
It's like,
did
you
200
know, it's like, what the
years
fuck?
later.
What are you talking about? Like, we've been here for 400 years. We're not fucking immigrants to this country. We
Yeah.
fucking from here. We're born here. Our grandparents were born here.
When I met Mario Ledesma and interviewed him, this subject did come up, and he also brought up like he was like Georgia doesn't do it either. He was like Uruguay
Yeah.
and Chile don't do it either. And I kind of asked him, I'm like, why does that not happen? And he was like, well, in South America, it's because we're really the only tall people that exist. So the only people that can produce rugby players.
Yeah.
And he's like, so we don't have a way to poach from our neighbors. There's really no way. And he was like, and the same thing is true in South Africa. It's the biggest country in that whole region of the continent. And you don't have to poach players because you have enough
Yeah.
people inside the country to produce a team. Now, I
Yeah.
get it in small countries like Wales. I get it in Ireland. I get it in Scotland. I get it in Italy, like honestly, because they just
Mm,
don't have the population to produce strong teams.
mm,
Now, the part that pisses me off is like France, because France was such a huge empire and is really the last country to not let go of it.
mm.
They have the pipeline from the South Pacific with like the Tuvalu and like all those countries in the South Pacific that they still own
Yeah.
as territories. To be fair, the Dutch do it with baseball. The Dutch have a really good baseball team because they have 3 or 4 Caribbean-based territories that play
Yeah.
baseball. So that's we actually had a guy playing for the local minor league club for the Rangers who spoke Dutch.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Why do you speak Dutch?" And he's like, "Oh, because I'm from the basically Dutch East Indies." And I was like, "Oh, so who do you represent internationally?" And he's like, "I play for the Netherlands."
Snap.
And he's like a big black guy. He's a Caribbean
Yeah.
guy. And that's when
Yeah.
he explained to me that he's like, "Yeah, that's why we have a baseball team is because of all the guys in the Caribbean that play baseball." So, but
Yeah.
I don't really, like I said, does it bother me that these countries have this many imported players? I mean, it's sad because some it does and some it doesn't.
You want my opinion on it?
Yeah, yeah, go ahead, man. Definitely.
I don't give a shit how many people are playing for the foreign countries. Okay, because that
Yeah.
just speaks of the fucking depth of talent we've got in this country. Right. So, and in some of the other countries as well. I mean, not everybody's like from us. Like Ireland's got a lot of people from like fucking New Zealand or whatever, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So for me, that just speaks to the talent that is abroad. Okay. But don't you sit there and fucking claim, right, that your Scottish team is such a fucking great team when half of it, okay, is not even from you, man. Like, come on.
I
Be
just
be open.
yeah.
Be fucking be like realistic about it, you
And
know? Like
I
that's just my opinion.
I don't care. It's like, okay, so there was that guy that played for Wales, Toby Faletau, okay?
Yeah.
Born in Tonga. I remember thinking, "Oh god, they got a Tongan on their team." And then I find an interview with the guy and he has like the thickest Welsh accent I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah.
And I'm like, "How did that happen?" And everybody's like, "Yeah, he moved here when he was 5." I'm like, "Okay, so I
Mhm.
don't count that."
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
if
yeah.
if you're a kid like Joey Carberry who played for Ireland, moved to Ireland when he was 9. I don't
Yeah.
count that. That's not the same thing as Bundy Aki,
Yeah, yeah.
James Lowe, Gibson Park. I don't count that, and I don't and
Yeah.
that doesn't bother me. If you move as a kid, it doesn't bother me. It's when you're a grown adult and you do that. Don't you dare get up on a pedestal and say, "Oh, our rugby is great." No, you had to get scabs to fill your rugby to make it great. That's the difference. That's the
So
difference.
so this is exactly my point, okay? I honestly don't care. I don't care what their teams are made of.
Yeah.
Okay? They're competitive. They keep us on our toes. That's all great. No problem. Okay, I've got all the respect for that. Okay, you can afford to buy these players, make something of them. They weren't being utilized elsewhere. Whatever. Okay, it's fine. Uh, I've got a problem with the banter online from people who don't take it for what it is. Okay, that's what I got the problem with. Right, because you don't hear the player saying that. Okay, it's the fans, right? And we're the same about our team on other topics, not
Yeah.
maybe
Yeah.
this specific topic,
Yeah.
because we're generally our own people. Um, so everybody can be unrealistic, but people call us out for our other shit, right? So we are
We're
there
gonna call
to
them out
call
for
them
their
out on
shit.
their shit as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's just how it works, right? So don't get fucking angry at us for calling you out for your bullshit, okay? Because we get called out for our bullshit as well, right? Boring rugby, you're such dull people, blah, blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah. All right, well, okay, whatever, okay? What I'm saying is, okay, yes, your team is great, but don't you dare, like, equal that to you as your people, okay, when
Yeah.
half your
Yeah.
players aren't even your people,
People.
okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's all I'm saying, okay? But the team is, I mean, Scotland team, they're a great team.
They're one of those teams I never have any like.
90%,
Yeah.
90% of the players that play on their team that's South African will never feature
Yeah,
for
they,
South
they were
Africa.
never going to be Springboks. They were, and you could
So
tell when they play against the Springboks how they were never like we
yeah,
make Duhan Vandermerve disappear when we
yeah,
play.
yeah.
Now we're going to move back to South Africa.
Are we
Finally,
gonna start our bullshit now?
yeah, yeah. No, so Billy LaRue is out. He's on his way to the Premiership next year.
Yeah,
My feelings about this: cool. Go get that. Go get that bag, young man. Like, go get your paycheck.
No,
Like,
look, man, he doesn't have long left, man. He has to go make his money now, bro.
and I really cannot wait because I have a
Sad
feeling.
for the Bulls, though.
Yeah, I have a feeling that we might be looking at a generational pundit right here because this man likes to talk.
We'll see. We'll see if he can speak like full, like logical sentences. I don't know,
Can he do
and
what?
not just
Can he
piss
do,
his
yeah?
pants about something.
Can he do what Victor Matfield does? Because Victor Matfield, like I said, I've said this many times, he went from being this insane guy on the pitch to being the guy sitting in a Starbucks sipping lattes,
Yeah.
and writing poetry on his laptop.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Look, I mean, I've got a lot of respect for Willie LaRue,
Oh, I
right?
love
I
him.
mean, he proved us all wrong when we all were willing to throw him by the wayside, right? So, and that was in 2019. Like he was dropping balls. We didn't know he had
But
fucking damaged
Butterfingers
shoulders and stuff
through.
like that,
Yeah,
right? Because
yeah.
he had like massive injuries that like he wasn't saying. Okay. But I mean, like, he still proved us wrong. I mean, he rose to the occasion, like we mentioned earlier about, you know, the more you're bigger and better your competition, the better you will like play. And
Yeah.
he really proved, like in that back line, that he can really be a general to get that attacking line going, right? So I mean, sure, I think Fussy is the future. Okay, I do believe that, but I mean, don't forget that this guy brought us through 2 World Cups, and you know he was a beast for us. So we need to give him respect. I think he needs to shut the fuck up sometimes when he's talking to the refs. When I'm afraid we're going to give away a penalty just because of his mouth. But I
But
mean,
one of the
his physical,
greatest,
his ability on the field, though, is like
one of his
is
greatest one-liners that I
yeah,
remember was it was a hot mic moment with an official. He hadn't turned his mic off,
yeah,
and we were playing Australia, and that was the game that he told Nick White like fuck off, like right to his face, like fuck off,
yeah,
like right. It's almost as good as I don't know if you remember Makazole Mpipi telling the guy like
yeah.
shouting at the guy, shut up. It's
No, fuck it.
God, I love our boys because they're just so full of just colorful characters. But
Yeah, yeah, 100%. I mean, tell the other player all you want to fuck off, you white to your white cunt. tell them all, tell them all you want, right? Um, but surely you need to keep your mouth shut when you're speaking to the when the ref is talking to you, not when you're speaking to like shut your mouth when you're talking to me. Like
yeah,
that doesn't make sense. But I mean, like keep quiet when the ref is talking. You know, don't go overboard. Like let your captain do his job. Um, and just like go back to your corner type thing so that we don't have penalties like dropped against us. So,
all right,
um, yeah, anyway.
Pierre, I'm gonna need you to take a very deep breath for this next one and try not to like sound
Did,
like the most angry boar on the planet. So this is one of my
did
followers.
Charlize Theron say something about rugby?
No, 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 no. So one of my followers that lives in the Western Cape, and I don't know if he's watching this or anything, but he found me on TikTok, and we had discussed we both had substance abuse problems in our life, and I've been open about it. I was an addict for
Yeah.
many years. This guy also had dealt with that same exact issue, and now he's gotten his life together. He's a working 9 to 5.
Oh my god.
What's that?
I'm like, oh my god, who's this? Is
Um,
this who I think it is?
No, no. So this is a buddy of mine, and he had a thing at his child's school,
Yep.
and I found out that a certain former. I'm just gonna put the photo up if it'll pop up here.
Oh my god.
So I'm going to be completely honest with you. I would love to interview that man, not to cuss him out, but just to like get inside of his head and figure out what actually happened with this whole situation. Um, it's just I know it's kind of one of those things where you're like, oh, fuck that guy. I know when I had sent it to one of my friends, and they're like, "There's no way he's in the KZN." And I'm like, "Why?" And he's like, "'Cause he wouldn't make it out of there alive." Would you
Look,
say the
man,
same thing about Haotang? Would he not make it out of Haotang alive?
let me put it to you fucking bluntly. All right. So you know me, I always speak my truth.
That's
Right.
why I put it up.
So when are you considered a professional?
When you get paid.
This is the point. Okay. So this guy was getting paid to do a specific job. Okay. You could tell me all day long what excuses you've got. Okay. I do not fucking care. Okay. Because you are a professional. You accepted the job offer. Okay. You roll with the punches and you make that shit fucking work. Okay. You understand my saying? All right.
I do. I'm 100%.
So I don't know. I honestly couldn't give two shits what his reasoning is. That things didn't go his way. Okay. But I don't for 1 second think he's a bad guy as a person himself.
Okay, that's all I wanted to get out of this. Like, I don't think he's a bad person. I don't think
No,
he's like.
100%.
I think he did a terrible job running the team, obviously. But I would probably want to interview him more than anything just to find out, like, were you just overwhelmed? Is that what it really was at the end of the day? Were you just overwhelmed? Because I think that was probably it, to be honest. Like, he got handed the job that he was not ready for.
No, that could be it. That could be it. But once again, my personal opinion is I don't give a fuck. Okay. I don't care. Okay. When you know, you need to have that emotional intelligence to know when you're out of your depth. Okay.
Yeah.
To say, listen, I understand, like, this is a fuck up. Okay. And maybe he did go to the people and be like, listen, motherfuckers, I can't do this shit. Okay. I need to be out. And they're like, well, your contract still states.
Yeah.
And we don't have a replacement yet. And you have to hang in there. It might have been that case. I don't fucking know. Okay. But the fact of the matter is, I don't say that he's a bad person. I wouldn't know. I don't know him personally. We don't drink coffee together. I can't judge him as a person. Okay. I don't know. But surely I don't give a shit about the reasoning why he failed. Okay. Because you accepted the job. Okay. And you went at it. Okay. And let's be quite frank. Okay. You were supposed to be a professional at that specific job. Regardless if you believe you can do it or not, you're still the professional because you're getting paid.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
No, I
and
agree with you wholeheartedly. I still think, like I said, I don't think he's a bad person. I don't wish on him, but it was like, obviously you were never cut out for this job. So,
no, 100%.
Moving on, we've got like 3 more to look at here, and we're going to go through a deep discussion on some of these. Not really a deep discussion, but let's just start off with this first one here. That was at home an absolutely embarrassing performance.
Yeah,
that was fucking terrible. Like I'm calling. Dobson needs to be. I say Dobson needs to be fired, but the next picture I have kind of explains a lot too. So, did you watch the game?
Like, I gave you my opinion about Dobson before, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if Dobson is the problem there.
I think this is the problem. This is the problem. And you can now add, look at how many of these are all injured players. This is
many Springboks, eh?
Yeah. I mean, so that's why I'm not 100% on the fire Dobson train yet, because anybody missing this, you're going to struggle. Now, the players that I think make the biggest difference are obviously your front row guys. Not having Kitsoff and not having Malherbe was on his way to having another amazing year until he got injured.
Yeah, and to be quite frank, Van der Roos plays quite a fucking good game for the Storms on provincial level.
Yeah, at club level, so amazing. He is absolutely
And then you got Sasha Ngomazulu and Damian Willemse, both fucking injured.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's like Salman Murad, not great for Springboks, but good for Stormers. Big loss.
Yeah.
Ben Jason Dixon, we saw he's a massive fucking
He's
player
fucking so
for any
good.
team. Mani got injured in this game, right?
Did you see
it's
the
not-
injury?
yeah.
Did you see the injury?
No, I didn't see it. I didn't actually watch the game, but
He got absolutely fucking folded, man. Like
Yeah.
he received an offload from Herschel Yankees. He offloaded the ball, and I mean, he just got fucking folded immediately. Like it's,
Mm.
I think he's got a concussion. Like it was like
Mm.
one of those. Like it was like a car wreck. Like he got
Yeah.
absolutely fucking folded, and
It didn't look like that hard to me when I watched the replay, but
yeah, it
I
was
mean,
definitely. But yeah, I think if this is the excuse from the Stormers, I accept that excuse.
yeah, honestly, I don't think Dobson is the wrong man for the job. Like I would believe that the guys
Plumtree
from
was,
Sharks, yeah.
which is
So I mean, because the thing is, Dobson has taken them to very much success.
they've won a URC
Yeah.
title. Yeah.
So I don't know if Dobson is the wrong person for the job. He does have quite a bit of injured players, which is a fucking problem. All right. So yeah.
Now this one was the one that really hurt. We got fucked up by Saracens
Yeah.
yesterday. That was fucking embarrassing.
Yeah.
So now you have people saying, "Does Jake White need to go?" And this is
You
all
can't say that.
this is all on the heels of something we've discussed on this show many times.
Yeah.
And that is the return of a certain coach that we both believe could be an X factor for any program that he decides to be a part of. And that gentleman goes by the name of Johan Ackerman.
Hmm.
I
I'm
think
looking forward to seeing.
wherever he ends up, he's going to change that team. It's just a matter of time.
Well, I think he should end up at the Bulls.
I mean, Jake White's in his early
Yeah.
to mid 60s. Like, I mean, and I've got no Jake
But
White.
also he's been having some health issues, mate.
Yeah,
So.
Jake White won a fucking World Cup. The end. The
Yeah.
end. That's all that needs to be said about Jake White at the end of the day. He won a fucking World Cup. Like the end. And I personally, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think we should be participating in these tournaments.
Which these fucking championship cups and
Champions
stuff.
Cup and Challenge Cup, and I'll tell you why.
Yeah, I also don't think it's. I
Tell
think it's
you
pointless.
why. And it's not because we don't win them. It's not that has nothing to do with it. It's because Europeans will sit here and say, "Oh, we would do great in Super Rugby or the Rugby Championship," and I'm like, "What's your farthest flight for a game?"
Yeah.
Oh yeah, 2 hours to Italy. You couldn't do a 12.5-hour flight in a 14-hour time difference.
Yeah.
You couldn't do it. And with this, the time difference isn't different. It's the distance to travel. It's a 12-hour flight from Dublin to Tambo.
Yeah.
And it's not just because I think, oh, they're European only trophies. I'm not even going to say that. I just don't think that we should be putting teams in a tournament where it's 12.5-hour flights for us or them. Unless
for me, the URC is enough, mate. It's long enough. It's enough games.
Yeah, it's fine.
You don't have to be dealing in multiple competitions at the same time. Risk yourself getting injuries, which puts you at risk on your other competition. Okay. For what? For like a 1 or 2 game competition. Okay. Now your game is now your players are at risk because look at Marnie. Marnie got injured. Okay. Now what? Okay. Now the URC is that doubt. Okay. Okay. Quite frank. Okay. The URC this year was never like they were always in doubt.
yeah, definitely.
Okay. In this year. But I mean, it's the principle of the matter, right? It could have happened to any team, that actually have fucking a real chance at making the URC quarters, semis, finals, whatever. Now you get an injury. Let's say it's a knee fucking injury, okay? And now that guy's out for 4 months, and there you go. Now your other competition's fucked. Okay, for what? For a 1 or 2 game competition that's really got no value. I think it's a pointless scenario to be putting us in the Championship Cup. I think keep it on the URC. It's more than sufficient.
And that's something it's like I've had to try and explain to people that, like, for me, yes, I live in the Northern Hemisphere majority of my life, but I grew up on Southern Hemisphere rugby, and I'm used to having it. Super Rugby, Curry Cup, NPC, whatever the shit the Australians do. Summer tests, where we get visits, Six Nation, or not Six Rugby Championship, where we play our neighbors, and then we head north at the end of the year, and that's how it was. Everything was separated. You had an off season. You had with Europeans, it's like they'll do URC Premiership, top 14, all starting at the same time. They'll take a break, do internationals. They'll come back. They'll do their Champions Cup. They'll go to, like, they have everything all at once, and I'm like. Because they're like, oh, Super Rugby season's really short. No, it's not. They just don't take a break every 2 weeks to do other tournaments. Like, they just play the tournament out, and that's it.
No,
And
what? Like Super Rugby was like 20 weeks.
yeah. You had two off weeks, 2 bye weeks, and like it's like I said, I'm not saying this. I don't have any disrespect for the Champions Cup or like the Challenge Cup. I don't have anything against. I just don't think our URC team should be competing in them. Now, if the Cheetahs want to go do it, go ahead.
Yeah, for sure.
If the Griquas or the Pumas want to go do it, go ahead. But I just don't think we should be. Our URC teams should be doing it.
We're putting ourselves at risk for no real reward.
Well, that, and it's also of all the nations that are competing in it, we're the poorest. Like, it's expensive to fly from South Africa to England to Europe. It's expensive, man. That shit costs a lot of money. It's not the same as buying a fucking round trip from Dublin to Italy, which you can get one for about 300 euros. You know what I mean? Like, it's not that expensive to fly a player that far, but for us, it's expensive, for South Africa. But I just, like I said, I don't think we should be playing in it just because, to me, at the end of the day, it doesn't really.
No, it's too much risk and too little reward for me.
Yeah, I just don't think we benefit much from it. So the last thing I wanted to bring up, and this is something that was kind of a little bit of the private equity deal with the member unions didn't pass, which was going to be an investment of funds into SA Rugby from abroad.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if it was because where the money was coming from was maybe the issue. But once again, it's just kind of showing how, like, countries outside of the rugby world are trying to influence the rugby world. A lot of people have asked the question, where would you rather your money come from the greedy USA or from the Middle East? And typically with most South Africans, and I do appreciate that, and they're like, oh no, we'd like it to come from America 100%. And I'm like, why? Because we trust you more than we trust them. And I was like, okay. Thank
yeah, look, I mean, we've got some local billionaires at the moment that wants to put some money in.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think it's, what's that guy's name? Jan Rupert, I think it was. I fucking can't remember. There's some billionaire here that's like wanted to like counter offer and whatever, right? So, but yeah, look. I mean, if we can get local investment, that's obviously first prize, right?
Yeah,
because who's got a South African Springboks back more than another Springbok supporter? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So but I mean, at the end of the day, wherever the money's coming from, I mean, you at least want it to come from a free country. You know what I mean? If I could put it that way.
Yeah, Mark Cuban this last week just pumped a crap ton of money into his university's club rugby program, University of Indiana. And because Mark Cuban has been one of the few big name voices in the sporting world in this country that has openly told people, like, he played rugby in college. Like, he's been like, hey, look, I'm looking for the right investment. If I find it, I'm investing in it. And I honestly think that our first big investment in rugby from a billionaire will probably be Mark Cuban. And
Yeah.
that guy is cool. I don't know if you've watched Shark Tank. That dude's like, he's like basically one of us if we got rich. Like he's just really cool. Like he bought a
Yeah.
basketball team. He like, you know what I mean? Like he's just got
Yeah.
like that cool oak that got rich. And like I said, I'm not really I feel like everyone else like at one point we were the team that was the country organization was suffering the most. Now we're like I think we're like one of the ones that's probably suffering the least.
Yeah.
Um
Yeah. Yeah. But that's what success brings, right?
yeah, because
So
people care now. People give a
yeah.
shit. Like Loftus is
And
packed.
money comes to the party, like people are more willing to part with their money if the Boks are performing, and which is a sad thing, but that's just the reality of life, right? So I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah,
that's what happens. So money follows success. So back to back world champions, like a fucking very competitive year, very successful year. So I mean, yeah, look, I mean, the people are noticing that the Springboks are evolving. People are talking about our rugby again, and they're doing mostly positive things, except for Steve Hansen for some fucking reason. But everybody else are speaking like positive stuff about the Springbok rugby at the moment. Like you find Squidge Rugby, they're talking such positive things. You find these guys, this like Dan Cole and Ben Youngs, they speak all this positive stuff about Springbok rugby. And generally, as a general rule, there's a lot of people out there that just like they're really enjoying the journey that the Springboks are going on at the moment, right? Because no longer, days of past is, like where we played this boring rugby is gone, and we
yeah,
we we managed to still have that control, suffocating fucking frontal game, but we managed to like really round it off with a fucking elusive backline that just like can shred you to pieces in any like given moment. And so I mean, there's a lot of people that like they're really enjoying our game at the moment, and that to me, that says something, right? It's positive things for us. I mean, even the Australian pundits, they like fucking like talking great things about us. And I mean, I watch a lot of fucking videos, on
yeah, yeah,
especially on rugby and like commentators and stuff like that. And generally, like I want to smack a guy through a fucking phone. But I mean, most this last while, the most of it's like just been positive stuff. So
yeah. The
that's where the
world's
money is
finally
going to
coming
go.
around. The world is finally coming around, and it's a good
Yeah,
feeling. And I mean, obviously, there's still going to be the trolls and the haters, but
yeah,
their numbers are start. I mean, like I said, I know a lot of guys in the Western Cape where it was very common for All Blacks fans, and they're like, you're starting to see less and less of them, and they're becoming Springbok supporters, and it's like
yeah,
that's a good thing.
yeah,
Um, I guess another thing I did want to bring up, it happened out at the Centurion Rugby Club over the last week. Congratulations to the USA Hawks defeating the South Africa Rhinos out of two. They have a third game to play, but they won the first two. And you're probably like, "What the fuck are you talking about?"
Is it ice hockey,
No, would be
baseball?
rugby league.
Oh yeah,
You're like, yeah.
figures about that fucking sport.
So yes, USA Hawks is the national rugby league team for the USA. They have successfully defeated in back-to-back games the Rhinos, being played at the Centurion Rugby Club there in Pretoria. And when I had posted a video of it, one of my followers was like, "Yep, that's the pitch I played on in school." And I was like, "Where is that?" And he was like, "Yeah, you see the elevated train." He's like, "Yeah,
Yeah.
that's how I
The
knew where it
Gautrain,
was." What's up?
the Gautrain.
The Hall train, yeah. As soon as he pointed that out, I was just like, "Yeah." He's like, "Yeah." He's like, "I didn't." And he even was like, "I didn't even know we had a rugby league team." I was just like,
Yeah, look, I mean, I knew we probably have a team, like,
yeah.
but I've never researched them because I only really give a shit about rugby union, not so much rugby
Guess
league.
where they're actually based? Do you know where your rugby league team is based?
Fuck if I know. Probably Kempton Park or somewhere.
How'd you fucking know, man? It's in Kempton Park. What is Kempton Park? That's right next to the airport, right?
Yeah, yeah, it's not far from me. It's
That's
about
on the
15 minutes drive.
so where your neighborhood that you're moving into, that's the other side of the airport, right? You're on
Yeah,
one
yeah,
side, it's the other side.
yeah,
Okay. Yeah, it's that's where the mall is. That's where the Kempton Park Mall is, I guess, right there
yeah.
at the airport.
That's
So
shit mall. Yeah,
Yeah, you keep saying that, man, but I remember going there because they had an ice hockey rink, and it didn't seem like a shit mall to me, man.
Man, I'll take you to a fucking mall when you get here, and I'll tell you, okay, you're gonna see why I say that's a fucking shit mall. Like honestly,
What is it in is the nice mall in Boxburg, or is it like in
there's lots of fucking malls that's better than that mall, mate. Like the Boxburg one. There's like the one in Bedford View. There's the one at in Midrand that's called Mall of Africa, which is the
that's
biggest
the
mall
one
in
I've heard.
Africa.
That's the one I've heard is the big nice one is the one in
Yeah.
Midland. Yeah.
There's one in Mainland, which is also a nice one, Mainland Mall. There's like plenty malls around, and that's really not one of the nice ones.
At
To be
least you're
quite
being honest, man. Like, speaking of that, yeah, the mall here, we had to go. We'll end this soon, but we had to go do some shopping yesterday. My wife did some shopping, and we went to a local Target, which is a department store here. It's like Walmart,
yeah.
basically. It's we call it Target because it's very fancy Walmart.
You
Good,
dropped the T, mate.
good God, man. Good God. Like it was so like we got in there and she didn't even like she got in, she didn't shut, she just got what she got the fuck out. Like it was raining and like the lines were just hella fucking long and everybody's buying shit for Christmas and it's yeah, like it's that time of year here, man. It's the
Yeah.
Christmas
Same
spirit.
here.
And then I've got friends sending me videos of like half naked chicks sunbathing in South Africa. I'm
It's
just
fucking
like
hot here, mate.
I'm just like, what the fuck, man? I forgot about that. Is like, dude, yeah, you go to
Uh,
the beach on Christmas, man. You don't like
it's fucking hot here. But now tell me, what's next? You're gonna call a 7-Eleven fucking Whole Foods there? Target?
7-Eleven. Actually, so that's actually based not that company is not too far from my job. It's like 2 exits down the motorway is
Yeah,
7-Eleven. It's across the street from Smoothie King National Headquarters, and it's
yeah.
yeah, dude. Everything's moving here because of the tax breaks and stuff like that.
But you're gonna call it Whole Foods next, right? You're
Whole
gonna call
well, so
7-Eleven. You're gonna call Whole Foods. Whole
well,
Foods.
Amazon actually owns Whole Foods now. That was
Yeah.
Austin, Texas-based company, and we don't
Mm.
shop at Whole Foods because we don't have Whole Foods paychecks. We don't make that kind of money. But
But that's exactly the point.
yeah, honestly, like we're not big 7-Eleven people. We're more Quick Trip people, which is like a massive petrol station. Usually has 20 to 26 pumps for filling petrol, and they're just massive here. But um, yeah, it's shopping here. I've got to go. She's not watching, so I'm
Yeah.
getting the missus either a Coach or a Michael Kors handbag. I don't know which one. I have to reach out to one of my younger female friends and say, "Hey, which one should I get her?" Like, I'll
Well,
send
I
her.
don't know, Coach, but I know Michael Kors, and that's quite nice.
Yeah, Coach is a little bit more popular here, but Michael Kors is
Okay.
nice. I mean, I was just thankful that she didn't want Louis Vuitton because I don't make Louis Vuitton money anymore. So I don't make that kind of
Yeah,
money.
Louis Vuitton is fucking expensive, mate.
Oh, I bet. Yeah, I mean, you're talking 4 to 5 thousand US dollars for one here, and I'm like, I'm
Yeah.
glad because I don't make that kind of money anymore.
You know what the funny thing is? You can get one for like $1,500. Yeah.
Is it bootleg though? Is it fake?
No,
Are
it's
you
fucking
really
for real out at the fucking shop, mate.
damn?
Yeah.
God,
So
it's
like
funny.
for everything that your fucking capitalism gives you, it doesn't give you fucking cheaper handbags, mate.
Or cigarettes or booze. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
uh, I have a follower that lives in Montreal, Canada, who's
Yeah.
from I think she's from the KZN, or she might be no, she's from the
Yeah.
Western Cape because she's Cape Colored, and
Yeah.
she was like showing me a video of her finishing off her last of her Mrs. Ball's chutney, and I'm like, "Can you not get that there?" And she's like, "No." So I'm like, "Well, let me see if I can mail it to you. Like, I'll send it up." They're going through a problem in Quebec, in that
Yeah.
province in Canada. Their postal company is going on strike, so they can't even get mail right now. Like, it's that bad in
Mm.
Canada. So, but
But I see online. There's a lot of fucking shit happening in Canada at the moment. Like
well,
most people are sick of that fucking president, mate.
so not most, but like he's very, very popular in the population centers of the country, which is where everyone
Mm.
lives. Because if you look at Canada as a whole, everybody lives like it's a ginormous
Yeah.
country. Everybody just lives at the border because anything north of that
Yeah.
is unlivable.
It's too
And
fucking
they all
cold.
live
Yeah.
in these little pockets.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate because the people in those pockets are the majority of the population and they make the decisions for the country. And it's the people that live
Yeah.
just outside of those that have to deal with those consequences. Like
Yeah.
I don't live in Canada. I'm not a Canadian citizen anymore. I'm a US
Yeah.
citizen. So it doesn't bother me that like I know what's happening up there, and it's the same thing that's happening here, but it's much worse there, is that the middle class is getting sick of getting trampled on, and they're trying to
Yeah.
fight back, but there's really no way. The same
Yeah.
thing kinda happening in this country, but the middle class thinks it's shrinking, and they have no idea that dude, the
Yeah.
middle class here could go at this rate shrinking, and it would still be huge in 100 years, dude. Like, it's
Yeah. Yeah.
people here have no
Much larger middle class as
well,
well.
they don't know what middle class actually means.
Yeah.
Like, they don't know they think they have an idea of what rich is and what poor is, when in reality, like,
Come to South Africa. We'll show you poor, mate.
that's a I hate to say it. Like, I hate to say it, like, it's because
Yeah.
they've never seen a third they Mexico is not a third world country. It's
Yeah.
no I've been enough time. It is not a third world country.
We're also not. We're a second world country.
Yeah. Now I will say this, Botswana, Zimbabwe, those are third world countries. Zimbabwe especially is a third
Yeah. Botswana ain't that bad, but Zimbabwe for sure.
100% a third world country. People here don't have any bearing on that, and, like, I was like, "Look, if you have rubbish pickup, like, if you have rubbish bins and rubbish pickup, you are not living in a third world country."
Yeah.
We
Yeah, for sure.
Our rubbish gets picked. We have 2 bins here. We have for rubbish, and then we have for recycling.
Yeah.
We do not live in a third world country. Period.
Yeah. No.
Period.
Yeah. No. For sure.
So, but that'll make it for this week. We'll be back
man.
next week. And kind of liked doing it this way, where we just throw up pictures and talk. It's just because it gives us ideas, or at least bullshit to run through.
It's always fun, mate.
Big announcement from you. Your band has changed names, or was that a joke? Was that a joke? Was that serious? Okay.
No, that was serious, mate. That was serious.
Tell everybody what the new name of the band is.
Oh right, yeah. Like so it used to be Crinosis, all right, but like even in our band we couldn't decide how do we pronounce that, mate. Is it Crinosis or is it Crinosis? Like we couldn't decide. Anyway, so we decided Shifty, mate.
With a little
we
logo.
we googled we couldn't figure out like where we like if there was any other bands out there called that. We don't think so, but I think the logo explains us a little bit better. Like the previous logo was very dark, and to be quite frank, we don't make like dark metal or anything.
You're not a
type
black
of music.
metal band or anything.
Yeah, we more grunge and stuff like that. So we looked at like some logos that's a bit more grungy. Sorry, a little bit more 90s sound. You know, like rock music, alternative, that type of stuff. And so it gives me like that new logo that we've got. It gives me more of a grunge / punk rock vibe, because that's really more the type of music that we make. So I think it's just more fitting to us as a band overall, and it's going to be quite lekker.
Right on. So we'll see you guys next week, same time, same bat channel. So for that, from Keith in Denton, Texas,
from Pierre in Boxburg,
we'll see you guys next week.
Thanks, guys. Take care.